Everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Yeah, I'm going to do a Storm Talk tonight. I don't think Snow Talk is appropriate given the setup here. New data coming in. I'm seeing a lot of chatter about the new data that's coming in with one particular model. But keep in mind, it's one particular model. There's a lot of things we still don't know yet until we get a little bit better handle on things tomorrow. So don't get to any conclusions or draw any conclusions just yet. Just know we'll take this hour and go from there. Having said that, here is the very latest on the thinking. You can already see the pool of moisture here coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, and then the energy starting to already show signs of being pushed into the Lone Star State as we head into this late evening. As far as here locally, the cloud cover has been increasing with that south flow, so it's becoming more and more on the cloudy side of things, and that trend will continue as we get a warm surge. Now, this is our in-house Futurecast, the RPM model that I'll show you, and then I'll show you the other model that came in a few moments ago and the differences there. First off, the initial push of warm air. Later on tonight, early tomorrow morning, you'll see how we've got a few little downpours that pop up. I think most of this is probably going to be drizzle. Anything that's producing some heavier downpours or lightning probably will be limited to I-75 the way it's looking at this point. It doesn't look to be a big deal other than just increasing our winds out of the south there for the moisture flow. Then we have a chance to break out into some sunshine, which will get us certainly into record-breaking territory. Now here's where our RPM and the other models differ. It's developing a line of thunderstorms at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The best instability, though, is not quite there yet. It's still just to the west. So these would move in across our northern counties earlier, and then the main line, this part of the line, would then be matched better with the better potential for capes, or we call it instability, as well as the shear would also be higher across this region. So two different scenarios playing out here. One, we've got some activity trying to develop in this model in advance, cools that area down into the 50s, gusty winds, not much of a severe threat. Then we've got this activity that has a chance to develop just a hair later than the rest, and take more advantage of the ability to tap into those stronger winds aloft as it moves in our southern counties, and therefore you get a higher wind threat and an isolated editorial threat for our southern tier of counties south of Louisville. Louisville being the dividing spot between the two. No surprise there. And then it's out of here after that, once we head toward midnight. Notice how fast it is, too, on this. Now let me show you the NAM model that is capturing a lot of attention. In the afternoon hours, it is developing scattered cells of convection as early as, say, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Meanwhile, you've got your supercells that are severe developing across Memphis into Mississippi. This activity does not have a lot to work with other than just typical moisture increasing. It's advecting north. We've got dew points surging into the 60 to 65 degree range. You're going to have the buildup of the cumulus clouds. The sun probably will come out for a little bit. But the problem is you don't have a lot of energy to get these thunderstorms to higher than, say, 20,000 feet. And therefore, you're dealing with low top convection and therefore not really on the severe side of things, unlike the activity back here to the south and west. Now, once we get into a late afternoon and an evening time frame, now this activity has a better chance to be more rooted and tap into those stronger winds. But we've also had some showers and some downpours around throughout the afternoon into the evening. So could this cool things down before this activity moves in? Because it's a lot of wind energy, but if you really yank out a lot of the Cape, or the ability for the Cape to survive and build into Kentucky, then you really are just wasting a lot of that wind energy on nothing more than just wind energy above the thunderstorms. And look what it does to the line. It tries to even split it. And a gap forms in central Kentucky. We've seen this many, many times, especially with lows positioned like they are to the northwest of us. Then you get the line that may try to hold together and pull into Indiana. And then this activity still could be strong to severe in Tennessee, then fade out, and there could be nothing in central Kentucky. Can't rule that out. Especially when you look at the helicity values on the NAM, it's matched up better in the evening time frame, right along that convection that fires up in Evansville and Paducah. Not so much here locally. This is hard to read, I know, on the NAM sounding. This is in the afternoon. It's giving us the chance for some severe weather. Although I got to say the LCL, which is what we look at for the condensation level of the base of a cloud, It's hard to read this, but it's greater than 1,000 feet, and we like to see that a little lower than that for anything when it comes to tornadics. So these are certainly more elevated in nature, but freezing levels are there, so there could be some hail with some of these. But I really don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of severe weather this initial round. Now, later on in the evening, the hazard that gets pointed down the sounding, this is going to put us closer to the 7, 8 o'clock time frame. We get a tornado indice listed here. At that point, LCLs do get down to the lower levels, and therefore we could have some supercells embedded that can't produce isolated tornadoes. That's the reason why it gives us that indicator more than anything. The heliograph certainly has a looping feature to it. Good sign there for as far as anything that could rotate. But again, capes, and I know it's hard to read, it's not great. I mean, at the surface-based cape is about 300, which you don't need much in the winter, don't get me wrong, but 300 is not, it is lower than what it was earlier today. So the NAM is showing a complicated scenario of afternoon activity that is displaced from the best ingredients for severe weather. So there's more of a disconnect versus the RPM model. It is showing something similar with us, southern Indiana, seeing an earlier convection, but it does catch up to the right scenario across our southern counties later on in the evening. So the RPM model has still the threat for severe weather with damaging winds and isolated tornadoes. And then you've got the NAM that really is not that excited about much happening here locally. Very, very isolated threat compared to what it looked like earlier. Now, here's the Schreff model. It's latest here on the capes. Again, the black line is the average of all the craziness on the other ideas. And if you look carefully, it's roughly about 500 at the height of the activity when it moves through here. And then when you look at the shear, which is, I mean, the wind energy is is off the chain, really. I mean, it's increased by 20 knots since this time last night. It's nearly about 50 to 55 knot shear shown up now in the evening. So this thing's got a tremendous amount of wind energy. But as always we see this scenario, you can have a lot of wind energy. This is very common this time of the year. But you've got to have the thunderstorms when they develop. They've got to be able to tap into that wind energy to become a danger to public and life and property, as we always say. And that's what we've got to really monitor and see. Are the two factors going to combine? And are we going to get that scenario, or are we going to see a disconnect over a good chunk of wave country? Because when I check the soundings down into portions of Tennessee and Nashville, there's still quite the connect. So they're still very much in the zone for severe weather. Once you get into Kentucky now, the NAM especially, not that great on the connecting part, and the RPM seems to be trending that way, but I don't know if it's a trend yet, because again, we're only going by model data. That's all we can go with until we really get actual balloons launched into this stuff tomorrow and really see how it plays out. All right, a lot of talk about how this compares to the December 22nd event of 2013. I remember that one well. It was a Saturday. This is before we had the enhanced looks on the outlooks. This is just slight, moderate, and high. It had a moderate risk just south of Louisville all the way through Louisiana. Here's what happened. A lot of the blue dots are wind damage reports. The red are tornado reports. We had 15 tornado reports, about 401 high wind reports out of that system, which is interesting to note. And when you look at the current outlook for tomorrow as it stands now, the enhanced area, which probably would be a moderate if on the old scale, is not that far off from what it was really in 2013. So there's no doubt. I mean, when you look at the data so far, the two overlapping parameters that we look at for severe weather when it comes to large hail and damaging tornadoes is here. The questionable part is going to be the Wabash Valley, right along southern Indiana, and I would say through about Campbellsville southward. This is the zone that is just questionable right now. And I really have to leave it at that, guys. I really do, until we really get a handle on how things look tomorrow. So the picture is muddy. Shouldn't be a surprise, but at least we know at this point that the slight risk is still looking valid. No doubt on that. With that much wind energy, you've really got to keep a slight risk around. It's just a matter of the capes, and really there's a lot of factors that really determine cape once we get into the actual day versus the models interpreting cape. So I think that's a reason why we really just got to wait and see how this is going to play out. But if you're traveling anywhere in this area, guys, this is what we really want to get the message out. It's going to be a slow go. Watch out for heavy rain and probably some airline delays that could develop for some of the airports there. All right, that's how it stands right now. Make sure to watch Lauren Jones in the morning. She'll have an update, and we'll see how things go, and we'll take it a step at a time.